Hi, welcome to Beyond Politics. I'm Catherine Clark. Ontario MP and Cabinet Minister Tony Clement caught the political bug early when he started stuffing envelopes at the age of 14. He's been politically active ever since. Married to prominent Toronto lawyer Lynn Golding, they have 3 kids together, and as if Clement doesn't have enough on his plate, he's an avid squash player, and he's just taken up guitar. He joins me now to talk all about his life beyond politics. Welcome to Beyond Politics. It's really great to have you here.
It's nice to be here. I've been an admirer of the show for a while.
Well, I'm amazed that you actually have time to watch television at all, ever. Do you?
It's sort of on the way. I'm one of these channel surfers, so you get a little bit of my channel surfing time.
Yeah, oh, thank you very much. That's lovely. You were actually born in Manchester, in England. How did you end up here in Canada?
Well, we emigrated when I was 4 years of age, and my family is from all sorts of disparate parts of the world, mostly actually aligned with sort of Greece and Cyprus, where my father is a Greek Cypriot, and my mother's family is from the Middle East. Actually, my maternal grandmother was born in Aleppo, Syria, of all places, and was educated by Coptic nuns in Alexandria, Egypt. And it was a mercantile family. They were very big in the textile trade at the time. And there was, of course, a logical and very intense connection between the textile trade of the Middle East and Manchester, which was at one point the textile capital of the world. And so that was how the family from the Middle East migrated to Manchester on my mother's side. And on my father's side, he emigrated from Famagusta area of Cyprus to Manchester when he was a young man, where he met my mother, and the rest, as they say, is history. So my connection to Manchester is through both sides of my family emigrating there.
Right. So they were actually living there. It wasn't just like they were each on holiday and met up.
No. They're Mancunian in that sense, and it was kind of funny because I had occasion to be in Manchester recently, and I had 2 free hours in between meetings and dinners and whatnot, and I hired a cab and said, "Take me to 10 Lyndhurst Avenue."
Oh, wow!
Which is where I lived from 0 to 4 years of age. Went to the old neighborhood, knocked on the door, met Mrs. Forbes, who lives in my house, and said, "Hi, you don't know me, but I'm a Canadian politician, and 48 years ago, this is where I lived." So,
and did she let you?
Yeah, she was very kind, and she told me a little bit about the history of who had lived there, including some philosopher who'd lived in the same house. And I emailed photos back to my mother. So that was part 1 of my pilgrimage. Part 2 was when I got back in the cab, I said, "Take me to church." And the cabbie said, "What do you mean?" I said, "We have to worship at Manchester United Football Club."
Oh.
So we went to Old Trafford. And I was there with the 5 buses of Japanese tourists snapping photos and just doing my genuflections to Man United because I'm a big fan.
Are you?
Yeah, sure.
Do you play?
No. This is all. I'm not even a big soccer fan, but I'm a big Man U fan.
Okay. Is that because of the connection?
Yeah.
Entirely.
So our family, it goes by lineage in Manchester. You're either a Manchester United fan or a Manchester City fan. My uncle, who's the black sheep of the family, was a Man City fan, but the rest of the family was Man United.
Is that how he became the black sheep of the family?
That's probably part of it, yeah. Soccer, English football is very intense, just to put it that way.
Now, do you think that this, did you say it was Mrs. Forbes?
Mrs. Forbes, yes.
Do you think that she'll put up a plaque? If there was a great philosopher who lived in your home, will there also be a plaque in Manchester saying that?
Oh, I'm not really
Tony
sure.
Clement lives here?
I don't think I rate, but it was, somebody from the colonies done good, kind of the conversation. But no, she was very kind. They're all very kind. And it's nice to have that connection still with where I was born, but of course, the great majority of my time has been as a Canadian, and going to school in Hamilton. We emigrated to Hamilton, Ontario first, and I remember my first days rapidly losing my English accent as quickly as possible so I could fit in with the rest of the school.
Were you teased?
Well, you have these things like I remember going to a store when I was 5, 6 years old and asking for an ice lolly. And the fellow just looking at me like I was had 3 heads and was from Mars. And then I realized very soon.
Or perhaps a speech impediment.
Say popsicle.
Okay.
Don't say ice lolly. Say popsicle. So these things are ingrained in you very early on when you're a child.
Well, and things that are quaint, I suppose, when you're an adult, are not easy when you're a kid.
No.
Because you have all these little kids basically telling you to your face that you're weird.
Yeah, you're from
you're
somewhere
different.
else. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Do you remember other things about your first days in Canada?
Well, you know, it was just so different. I remember we had to travel light, and we had to start from scratch, and so I couldn't take all of my toys. I remember having to choose which toys we were going to. As a 4-year-old, this was a major production. But you know, these are the kinds of things that sort of stay with you a little bit when you think back on it. But I had a nice childhood in Hamilton, and it was we lived on the mountain in a nice area. The house by today's standards is probably pretty small, but it suited its purposes. And then we moved when my parents split up. I moved to Toronto with my mother, and started over again in Toronto, and did the rest of my schooling in Toronto and North York before going to university.
You are one of the rare people who has literally run it at every level. I mean, you ran in school for governing council, you've run municipally, provincially, federally. Why this interest in politics? Where did it actually come from?
Well, you know, once you develop an interest, sometimes it gets ingrained in your DNA after a while. But it all started off just by a situational happenstance in that, as I said, my mom was a single mom, raising me and trying to make her way. And she got a job in the mid-'70s at Queen's Park in the Ontario legislature, working for a Conservative MPP. Had no job security at that particular moment, and then there was an election called, and so basically it was all hands on deck, because if her boss or the MPP lost, she had no job, which was not good when you're a single mom trying to raise a child. So I was dragooned into the envelope stuffing, leaflet dropping part of politics.
Did you understand that this was your participation could in fact help to put food on your table?
Oh yeah, when you're 14,
okay.
you do get to understand
okay.
these things very quickly.
Okay.
But that was the situation. I wish I could spin you a story about how I had some sort of revelation from the mount or something,
right.
But no, it was a lot more prosaic than that. But of course, once you get a taste of it, and I got to see some of the masters of the craft of the time, like Bill Davis, of course, Premier Davis, amongst others, I was hooked, and I saw that you could apply yourself and do something for your province or your country. And sometimes when you're an immigrant, you're a lot more patriotic. You don't take a lot of things for granted. We're all patriotic in different ways, perhaps, but I love my country. It's my adopted country. We chose to come here. And thank goodness that my parents made that decision. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that you can make a difference for your country became a real prime motivator for me as I grew older.
After the envelope stuffing, where did you go? I mean, what was your next logical step?
Oh, it was just totally rising up the ranks. It was from envelope stuffing to being a young PC, being the president of the Young PC Riding Association in that particular part of North York and Toronto, to then getting onto the provincial youth exec. That was a big step, getting onto the provincial YPC executive.
Yeah.
That was really close to power now. Just working my way up. At the time, I was obviously pursuing my schooling and
right.
Getting, when I got to the University of Toronto, getting involved on campus in the campus politics there, not just the party politics within.
And campus politics, actually, as a graduate of U of T myself, they were big. I mean, campus politics was big stuff at U of T.
Well, it was, and you had these strange connections, because not everybody was involved in campus politics, and I had my share of. Because I was involved, I was running the pub nights and doing other things
Hence why things are so important at UC if you're running the pub night.
That's right. That's where the real power lay. Get running the pub night. Those of us who were involved in campus politics were a smaller subset of the whole population there, and so I met a lot of Liberals there, met a lot of NDPers there who I still keep in contact with, who are still involved in politics. And it's kind of funny how the world turns. But Dominic LeBlanc, for instance, on the other side of the house, he and I go all the way back to the early '80s in our time on campus at that particular moment. So it's a kind of a fun little connection that we have. But I just wherever I was, whether it was on campus or in the party, I would just I would obviously wanted to be part of whatever was going on and be part of the politics of the day, and that's how it all started. It started from that level of involvement, that level of commitment. I'm not saying it subsumed my life, because I think I had and still have a pretty well balanced life, but it was a component of who I was. There's no question about it.
Did you study law because you knew you wanted a career in politics and you felt that was a natural way to get into a career in politics, or did you study law because you had a genuine interest in that field?
I wasn't a big believer. Like a lot of people had these, in 5 years I want to do this in politics, in 10 years I want to do that. I never had big plans that way. I just thought at some point I wanted to try my hand at it. That was about the furthest I planned for anything, and I never had a set date. I never had a set way. I just figured at some point an opportunity would arise where I would feel strongly about an issue or strongly about the direction of the country or the province, and I'd get involved. So law was more like a career choice that I wanted to make. It was something where one could use your verbal skills and your writing skills and put it to good use on behalf of something. And I also saw the entrepreneurial side of it as well, that if I was involved in law, in corporate law and business law, I would get to know business, and I was quite interested in the entrepreneurial side of business activity as well. Because my legal career had some zigzags in it, including going off to Central and Eastern Europe and Russia and Czech Republic and Poland after the wall fell, doing that kind of law, but really it was more of an entrepreneurial activity rather than strict corporate law. So to me it was a means to getting involved in business and learning that side of life as well.
Did you enjoy
meeting a payroll, those kinds of things. Yeah, fun things.
The critical things.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy law? I mean, and you continue, obviously, you don't continue to practice, but you're still a lawyer.
Still a lawyer by designation. Yeah, it was. I would have to honestly say I didn't have a passion for it the way I had a passion for politics in the end, and so in the end politics won out. But it's nice to have that background. I never, when I'm talking to kids, a lot of people come up to me and say, "Hey, I'm interested in politics. What do you think about law?" I never dissuade anyone from having a law degree. With a law degree, you can do a multitude of things. You can be a lawyer, but you could also then go into journalism or go into business. Or I have classmates who went into the medical, then got a medical degree and became a doctor. Yeah. Anything is available to you through the avenue of having that law degree. So to me, the law degree is about a way of thinking about things. There is such a thing as critical legal thinking, which I do employ every day, because when you're tackling issues, you have to be able to unpack the issues, find out what the real issues are, find out what the options are. These are skills that you can learn in a lot of different places, but one of the places you can learn them is through a legal training background.
Do you think that you actually had that way of thinking? Anyways, that you think that way as a person that's breaking things down, or did you actually learn that at law school?
I think it helps.
I've always been interested about whether people go in with that.
That's a good question. Whether you kind of self-identify and self-select to go into that particular profession. I don't know. I mean, I think I had some of that. I do believe that it is important to not just run on emotion, that you've actually at some point in politics got to get your facts right and employ those to the best use possible. But I would say it helped. There's no question that after 3 years of law school, there are certain ways of looking at issues is drilled into you, and I think that helped hone it at the very least. Let's put it that way.
You're married to a very accomplished lawyer. Did you meet her at law school?
No, she went to Queen's Law School. I went to the
Okay.
University of Toronto, so we had the long distance thing going for a while there. She and I met in undergrad, but we were involved in politics. She was a YPCer as well, from Brampton, part of the Davis group, if you
sure.
will. And so, yeah, we knew each other in undergrad, but also knew each other through politics.
And what was your first meeting like?
Well, we have a differing account of what our first meeting was.
Fantastic.
That's always
These
good.
are the best kind.
Yeah, so don't put us on the newlywed game. Not a good idea. But she claims we met on this social occasion. We used to have these what we called Tory boat floats, where we'd rent this boat in Toronto Harbor and get a whole bunch of YPCers together, 300 or 400 or so, and have a boat float. And so she claims, while we were still in high school, that was where we met.
Oh.
I remember our first meeting more in the university context, and we first started seeing each other.
Basically, what you're saying is you have absolutely no recollection of meeting her the first time.
Well, and this is worrisome because on one of our wedding anniversaries, she said, "Do you remember those words that you said to me 10 years ago?" And I said, "Yes," and I meant every word of it. And she said, "Oh, you mean the part about how you were sticking with your previous girlfriend and you couldn't really go out with me?" And then I realized I better watch what I say because she has a memory like nobody else. Exactly. But no, I know this is going to sound exceptionally romantic, but we met in the Spadina by-election. That's when we started to see one another. There was a by-election where Jim Coots was running for the Liberals,
right,
and Dan Heap for the NDP, and Laura Sabia, I think, was the PC candidate in this federal by-election. And we started working. She was an intern in Ottawa and was dragooned down to work in the by-election. And I was working in the by-election as well. And I know that sounds so romantic for your viewers.
No,
but,
well, I mean, the good thing is our viewers are political, and they probably understand that love ignites in the strangest of places.
That's right.
Particularly
yes,
political. Actually, I think politics and campaigns are campaigns in particular are just incredible love grounds because people are working intensely together on a common cause, and you're working late hours, and it just.
Sure. Yeah.
I think that lots of political relationships happen on campaigns.
I think it happens all the time, still happening
yeah.
all the time. And,
this could be a whole other show.
I'm always the last to know as the minister, but goodness knows what the parliamentary staffers are doing in their off hours. I know we want to guess on that.
No, we don't want to go there today, but maybe we can do a follow-up on
Love
on the Hill.
That could be a great little session for you.
It could be. So you now, you have 3 children, and as I said, your wife she's the head of a health law practice for her firm, and you are here in Ottawa most of your time with a lot of responsibility, and at home you have 3 kids. How do you manage to see your wife, be with your kids? How do you find time to balance any kind of family work responsibility?
It's very difficult.
I bet.
And I am fortunate to have an understanding partner, and she puts up with a lot, and my kids put up with a lot, and they're quite frankly willing to do it because they think that the work that I do is important for the country, and so in that sense I'm very, very grateful for that. And we just manage the heck out of our time. That's I've got responsibilities in my constituency in Parry Sound-Muskoka. We've got our place there. That's where I live. That's where Lynn gets to with the kids as much as she can. But her center of gravity right now is obviously in Toronto. That's where the law practice is. But we just try to make it work. We get together as best we can in Muskoka and at family get-togethers, and what we try to do, we try to have things to look forward to, so that, gosh, the house is sitting for the next 3 weeks, so it's gonna suck for the next 3 weeks in terms of our ability to operate as a family. But we have something coming up. We have Christmas coming up, or we have Easter coming up. We've got these things where we're going to be together as a family. We're going to interact as a family, and that's what keeps us going.
Do you think your kids, having grown up in politics, just naturally understand that this is the way it is?
Yeah, I mean, that's very true. And for most of their lives, this is all that they've known is, Dad has a political job, and it takes him away a lot. And, some families handle it in different ways, and I respect all of that. So some families, the politician, the man or the woman brings in the spouse, brings in the kids to be part of their political life. So they attend events and they do things together. We've done more or less the opposite of that. I don't want to foist politics onto my children. I want to allow them to have a life outside of politics and to make their own decisions about whether they're interested in politics or not interested in politics. So, that's my business life as a politician is distinct from my family life as a parent and as part of the family unit.
What about time for yourself? Do you ever have that?
Oh, well, I think that's important to be well-rounded. So, yeah, I do try to carve out some time for myself and, in different ways, whether it's, my physical exercise regimen, which I'm, quite, serious about.
Really?
And,
what do you do?
Working out, and then I'm a squash player, and so I try to dragoon squash partners to...
Where do you play squash in Ottawa?
Oh, there's lots of places. You can play at the West End, for instance, or I played at one of the university campuses. Lots of squash courts around for that. So that's a good way to release energy and release some of your frustrations on a small rubber ball. Yeah, exactly.
Do you picture political faces on your ball?
You know what? I think of that, but no. You gotta really concentrate in squash, so you can't be thinking about what happened at the office. So that's important, and I've just taken up. I'm self-teaching on guitar, so I've just started some guitar lessons.
Had you ever played before?
No. But my boys both play guitar, and I was intensely jealous of their ability to start Stairway to Heaven or some of the other classics as well as some of the new material. And so I'm a big music fan. I love rock music. I love pop music. I love alternative music. And so I just decided, you know what, if I don't start now, I'll never get started. So.
Do they think it's cool that you're doing this, or do they think that it's really embarrassing?
No, I think it's closer on the cool side.
Good.
It's closer on the cool side, but they are so far ahead of me in guitar that at one point this weekend I decided my fingers were too plump for the C chord, and so I started to bandage up my fingers to see whether I could get them a little bit more svelte so I could actually manage the chord. And at that point, my son Max said, Dad, that's not the way to learn how to play guitar. Come on, buddy. So I eventually agreed with his opinion that really wasn't working. I just have to do it the hard way. So
that's pretty cool
to
take up something like that.
Well, I think we all need outlets, right? And because I love music and because this is a part of my life, it was a natural.
Do you have an iPod?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you carry it with you all the time?
All the time. It goes with me everywhere, and particularly here in Ottawa, it's a great release to have that. So.
What are the top songs that you listen to, or do you listen to pretty much everything?
I have 10,000 songs on my iPod, so it's usually on random shuffle. So it can have anything from the theme from Gilligan's Island to Kings of Leon's latest or something like that. It runs the gamut.
You really are au courant with your music. That's pretty good.
I'm trying. So yeah, I'm actually a big believer that I don't like being stuck in a decade. Some people are comfortable with 70s rock or 80s new wave or whatever it is. I actually think that we have wonderful artists, Canadian, international artists who are making great music today, and that we should be respectful of that. We should buy their music. We should enjoy their music. We've got great bands that have been around now into their fourth decade, like U2, and we've got great new bands like the aforementioned Kings of Leon, and great new Canadian bands like Metric and Tokyo Police Club, just to name a couple. So there's just so much going on in music that I'm not married to a particular decade. I'm constantly buying new music and trying to find the next new great band and enjoy their music as well.
That's pretty
important.
awesome.
Yeah, it's and hopefully that Lynn thinks, my wife thinks that at some point I have to be on some rock trivia show to actually make some money out of all of the hours that I spend.
Arcane knowledge.
Exactly. It's got to be good to put to good use somewhere, but so far we haven't found the outlet for that.
You could have probably continued to have a very successful career provincially, which would have kept you closer to home. What made you want to take the jump into federal politics?
Well, I think it was a combination of things. To be, to look at the context properly, there was a change of government in Ontario with the Dalton McGuinty years starting, and I didn't win my seat. I lost my seat. So at
but
that
you were
point,
working with your law firm
again.
Yeah. You were teaching at U of T.
Yeah. I was doing all those things, but I just felt that the country was ready and needed a change, and we have to have in this country alternation. We have to have the ability to choose the opposition party at some point when we're not happy with our current government, and that works, of course, both ways. Governments have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and then they're replaced by a new government. That's how democracy works, and I really felt that Canada was ready for a change when the Martin Liberals were in power, and I felt passionately about my country. As I say, to be called a patriot to me is a good thing. To love your country and to want your country to be a better place, a more successful place, a just place. These are things that should animate our political life and our citizenry. And so I was ready for that move. And what happened in the case of Parry Sound-Muskoka was the local association came to me and said, "We think you're the guy to run in Parry Sound-Muskoka." That wasn't my original riding. My original riding was the Brampton riding in the northwest of Toronto. But they said, "We think you're the fellow that we want as our representative." So they kind of asked me to run, and at the same time, I had the conversation with my partner, with Lynn, and said, I'm still thinking about politics. I haven't stopped thinking about it. I think there's more that I can contribute. If it doesn't work out, great. Then I'm content with that. I'm at peace with that. There are other ways that I can help my country, but I think that I've got another shot at this where I can make a direct difference.
And are you glad you've done it?
Yeah, no issues there. It was the right thing to do. I'm very comfortable in my current role in the riding as well as in government, and I'm very happy.
So after this, is it possible that we will see you forming some kind of band?
Well, that's I'd actually like to manage the band. All I want is 6% off the top. So if any of my sons or my daughter want to be part of a band, I'll play the manager role. That way I can get my fix of the music industry without a lot of the toil that goes along with that.
Will you do backup guitar if they need it?
Well, I think I could manage bass guitar, but I think I could manage that.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
I'm very glad you took the time to be here. Thank you.
My pleasure.